This is the new iPhone Air, and it is the most beautiful iPhone that I think Apple have ever made. And for the past week or so, I've been using it as my default device. And I have thoughts. So this is how I fell in love with the iPhone Air and how it ended up breaking my heart. Mini spoiler as well, it's not actually anything to do with the battery life. So let's get into it. The thing I haven't gotten over all week though of usage is just how this thing feels in the hand. It's got such a crazy slim and light profile that every time I pick it up, I feel like I'm holding a beta device or something like that. To think Apple put the entire phone in this top little bump here is absolutely incredible, and the rest of it is purely battery. It's just pretty wild to think about. And I really do think it's the nicest iPhone they've made since the iPhone 4. Even though I wasn't overly convinced on this little bit at the top here, it's actually really grown on me, and overall I absolutely love the way this phone looks and feels. It's also been the first time I've been excited to show it off to my friends and family as well.
Ooh, she is then.
Where's the rest of it?
There you go.
That's ridiculous.
It's very thin.
That's a very cool piece of kit though. It's very cool.
Will it get you off Android? So yeah, as for design, I absolutely love this thing. And I really do think Apple got the screen size right on this too. This is 6.5 inches, so it's a little bit bigger than the standard iPhone, which is 6.3, and it's a bit smaller than the Pro Max, which is 6.7. And this kind of Goldilocks zone feels just about right, and it just looks awesome too. It's also the perfect screen size to show off our new wallpaper pack. If you want to grab that, I'll link it below. It looks fantastic across all of your devices. And this video doesn't have a sponsor, so I'm going to sponsor it myself. If you like what I'm doing here, go and check out KrokuStudio.co.uk. We sell a bunch of wallpapers for iPhones. We've got some mugs and some cool hats as well, and everything helps directly support the channel. So I'll link that below if you want to check it out. Let's move on to one of the big questions about this, and the thing that I was most worried about while I was using this device for the entire week, and that's battery life. And look, Apple even made a dedicated MagSafe battery for this phone, so I was ready for the battery life on this to be average at best and pretty poor at worst. And to cut this section somewhat short, it's nowhere near as bad as you think. I've been tracking my battery every single day since I've been using this, and I've been averaging around 5 to 6 hours of screen on time, which for a device this thin is absolutely incredible. Okay, if you're wondering why my battery life seems so decent on the iPhone Air, then I have to bring your attention to an injury I'm suffering from at the moment. I slipped a disc in my back, which basically means I can't get off the floor until like 12 or 1 or 2 o'clock sometimes because the pain is so bad. So that means my iPhone use has basically been me browsing social media on a Wi-Fi connection, you know, with no problems at all. And I haven't been using the camera very much because, you know, what am I going to take pictures of my legs or something like that? So that's potentially half the reason why the battery life on this has looked so good in this review. The other thing that's been great about the iPhone Air is I've been able to hold it up kind of in front of my head without risking of dropping it because it's so light. So it's not going to hit me in the face, and I'll be able to kind of lie here, browse social media, consume content without any of that worry because it's just been so light and easy to hold. So that's been one plus. Also sorry for the awful angle I filmed this little section at. So yeah, my usage over these last few days and weeks hasn't been too typical because of that. However, what I do know is if I was going to cities and I was going in and out of the tubes in things like London and using Google Maps and stuff like that, I know I would struggle to get through a day, that's for sure, because even my Pro Max is pushed to the limits there. So I know I would have ended up using this battery pack way more than once. It's also worth mentioning though, even though this battery pack is rather expensive for the milliamp hours you're getting in here, which matches what's in the iPhone Air, it fits on beautifully well. Apple have done a really nice job of just making this feel like part of the phone, and you can put this into your pocket and take it out, and it's so slim itself, it's very easy to put this into a bag and just kind of forget about it. However, I don't think I would recommend you grab this one unless all you want to do is charge your iPhone Air with it. You can't charge any other device with this because of the way it sits on unless you put it on horizontally, and to be honest, you shouldn't be okay with that. I would definitely recommend looking at a third-party one because not only are they a little bit cheaper, but they're generally going to give your phone a bit more juice as well and work with pretty much all of your devices rather than just the Air. But yeah, overall, the battery life on this, not the Achilles heel that you really think it's going to be. Apple have done a fantastic job here, and I'm so happy to say that this will sort most people out pretty much everyday use, no problem at all. The second big thing which you're probably going to worry about is the camera setup. You're only getting the standard 48 megapixel fusion camera on here, which you get on the iPhone Pro series and the standard series, And that's it. No zoom, no ultra wide, nothing fancy, just a straight up single camera scenario. You do get the 2x zoom on here, which is something, but yeah, it's a pretty limited camera setup. On the plus side though, you are getting the brand new selfie shooter, which is the 18 megapixel super upgraded one that Apple have put in across all the iPhone 17s. And it's still awesome. It lets you take selfies either horizontally or vertically, regardless of how you're holding the phone. And the video footage from it as well is much better too. Now, due to my current situation, I haven't had a lot of chance to check out the main camera on here unless you just want repeated photos of my cats or my legs or the carpet. But this is still the fantastic main shooter from the Pro and the Standard series. And generally speaking, you're going to be super happy with this. It produces really nice photos across the board that have that kind of natural iPhone feeling to them. However, this is where the things started to get a little bit shaky for me. I use the camera a huge amount on my phone, and one of the things that I missed the most on here was the ultra wide. The amount of times I'm trying to film something and I try to step backwards and it's just not wide enough, and I always switch to that ultra wide on the Pro Max phones, so I missed that here terribly. The other thing which irked me a little bit as a creator is there's no Pro RAW mode here when you're taking photos. Now, I like to shoot my iPhone photos in RAW quite often, and having that option on the top left on the Pro phones is just so useful. It means I can take a photo, bring it into Lightroom and give it some really nice edits. But despite this having the Pro chip, there is no support for Apple Pro RAW. Now, generally speaking, I kind of understand that because this phone obviously isn't made for professionals, but the fact that it's got the Pro chip must mean it's kind of capable of doing that. So I kind of wish it was just buried in settings somewhere that you could activate, but it's not here. In the end, I downloaded the Moment Camera app to get access to RAW, which does work, but for some reason it defaults to 12 megapixels. I can't get the full 48 megapixel out of it, which is pretty good still. I got some nice results from it, but yeah, it's not quite the Apple Pro RAW that I'm used to. And look, I'm not going to pretend I know where they could fit an ultra wide camera into here. There's obviously very little room, but yeah. Overall, the camera, I think for most people that aren't Pro users will be absolutely fine. But for me, that was kind of hard to get used to. Okay, something else I really wanted to try was the new iPhone Air bumper case. These are really interesting because we haven't seen anything like them since the iPhone 4, and when Apple announced it for the iPhone Air, I knew I had to give it a go. So let's unbox it and see what it's like. Okay, there we go, it's on. It actually feels really nice in terms of keeping the iPhone feeling really slim, and the blue matches up with this sky blue iPhone Air. If you can call it blue, it's so mild it's almost hard to even tell. I've also got the crossbody strap though, so I'll chuck that on and see what that looks like too. I feel like a tourist immediately, but it's quite interesting. I can see how people would just like to swing this around, use their phone and then push it back or something like that. And if you've got the right outfit, it might be a cool little addition as well. Actually, talking of the right outfit, there we go. Now it just looks like part of my coat. Yeah, I could see how people like this. It might not be for me though. Okay, so while that crossbody strap might not be for me, I do actually have one of these little things left over from a camera. This is from Moment. It's just a little wrist strap. Okay, so there's a different version. There's just the iPhone with a wrist strap attached instead, which to be fair is a bit more kind of what I'd be okay with, especially for security. You still got that, and you can still put your phone in your pocket and everything like you normally would. So yeah, Apple, I think you could easily turn some of these into some of those and sell a bunch more or something. So there's the bumper case, and that's pretty much how I'm going to use it, I think, and I'll let you know how I get on back in the review. Yeah, I did end up taking it off in the end, but I must admit, I quite like this setup. I've never been a huge case guy, but having the bumper let the iPhone keep its kind of slim profile, which I really liked, and also having a chance to attach something like a wrist strap or the crossbody strap lets it stay a bit more secure. And when I go to bigger cities, I'm 100% going to use a setup like this, just for that added layer of security. I also saw online that Apple have actually sold out of some of the straps as well in certain colors, so they're obviously crazy popular. So I'm just really happy that Apple now has an option for people that want to use them all the time. Okay, so we're at the end of the 7-day trial. I think I might actually be on day 8 or 9 at this point. And I wanted to talk about the nitpicks and the small little things which I didn't love on this phone, because obviously it's not perfect. And first up, it's the speaker situation. There's only one speaker in here because of the kind of thinness of it, and it's the earpiece. There's nothing at the bottom there. And while it actually gets plenty loud enough, it actually kind of distorts when you got it on higher volumes. I listen to podcasts quite a lot on my phone, usually just on the table while I'm eating breakfast or something like that, and I really did notice that distortion at the higher levels.
Mendel! Raspberry Coast is Mendel!
so I just had it turned down a little bit. Next up on the camera, there's actually no macro mode because it lacks that ultra wide, so you can't get really close up photos. It's not too disappointing because I never thought that much of the iPhone's macro mode, but that's not here either. There's also no LiDAR on the back for the camera, so if you're the sort of person that scans rooms or does 3D stuff with their phone, this can still do it, but it's much slower than the other models. While we're talking about the camera as well, when you're using video mode, there's no way of recording to an external SSD. That looks like it's completely locked into the Pro series, which I actually thought it might be here hidden in the settings somewhere, but unfortunately not. And finally, this is eSIM only, which is kind of fair enough, and they've used that space to add more battery in here, but this is the first time ever I've had to convert my physical SIM into an eSIM and just use it that way, which is kind of weird to me as a European who's always had a SIM card, but you can switch it on the fly relatively easily. But those are the few things which I haven't particularly enjoyed about it, and to be honest, they are all super minor. Okay, so that's kind of my week on the iPhone Air, and I have to admit, I had way more fun with this phone than I ever thought I would. I was expecting the battery to be bad, the camera to be annoying, and the overall just use of it to not be great for someone like me. But generally speaking, it was nearly there, and I really fell in love with this thing over the time I was using it. This is the exact style of iPhone that kind of got me into iPhones in the first place. This crazy piece of technology which is amazingly designed and totally capable, and obviously just so much fun to show to people. So even if this is somehow a one-off or something, I'm happy it exists. But I am really sad to say it's not the iPhone I can use going forward, and that's what really broke my heart about this entire thing, because I'm a content creator. I sit here and make videos on the internet about technology all the time, and more and more and more now, I'm relying on my iPhone camera. So I need a phone like this, which has got all the cameras, all the power, and all the features over something like this, because that's basically my job. And as I said, I could get used to not having the zoom, and I could deal with having an ultra wide. And if they just had those pro features in there with the camera, I could potentially switch to this. But for now, I can't. And that's really sad because it's such a beautiful device. Anyway, that wraps up this review. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, pop the like button. And if you're using the iPhone Air, or if you've switched to it, or if you've tried it or anything, let me know about your experiences in the comments below, because I love to read what you have to say. And as ever, I will see you all in the next one.